Good morning, class. As you can tell from my voice, I'm still barely getting it back, recovering um, from the COVID. So I hope everybody's been keeping healthy and safe this holiday season. Now, just a couple announcements. Of course, there's going to be Thanksgiving on Thursday, meaning there will be no uploads for the rest of the week. But on Tuesday of next week, this is going to be our final week. I will upload a lecture talking about Book 4 of the Green Knight, which I have posted in this week's um, module that you'll find on Blackboard. You'll see it says Book 4, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, then a discussion board for it, and then a review outline that we're going to cover a little bit today. So that way you have an idea on how to structure your film review as we get to the end of the semester. Again, that film review is going to be due on Friday, December 2nd. So you can submit it there. And we'll go ahead and be uploading um, Tuesday for sure of next week. Now, I'm hoping, because I do have a surgery on Wednesday, it's not going to take too much time, and I'll be back and capable of recording by Thursday. But if not, I will go ahead and make the announcement prior to that day, seeing how I feel and I recover. But with that being said, let's go and take a look at the expectations for this week. So again, we have the Book 4 of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Please do read. There's a discussion board post for it. It's going to lead you to it. You see, has discussion for Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, Book 4, there as well. And then you're going to have the review outline. So this is what we're going to be focusing on today. I should have been able to view it, but since it's a Word document, you're just going to have to download it. I'll go ahead and update it with a PDF version as well, so that way you can have both. You can have a Word document if you want to edit it and tweak it to your paper, or you can just simply view it as a PDF document, so that way you can compare it to your essay. So here, let's go and take a look at a single page. So one thing that I need to make abundantly clear that sometimes is not evident is that your header needs to have two parts to it, and they need to be on the same line, meaning it should say running head. It doesn't have to be highlighted. I'm just showing the difference between page 1 and page 2. But then it should also include your title thereafter with proper capitalization, meaning every noun and verb should be capitalized. Articles, prepositions, things like that, those don't need to be capitalized. So you see review, which is a noun, of, preposition, lowercase. Monty Python, the name of a person, would be, or a comedy group, is capitalized properly. Quest is, of course, the name of a noun or verb, right? It's a quest, it's a thing, or it's a verb. To quest means to go on an adventure. For, preposition, article, the, lowercase. H for holy and G for grail are capitalized because they're a proper noun. They're things, right? And so, with that being said, make sure you capitalize this running head appropriately, and that you include the part that says running head. And then on the same line, on the right hand margin, you need to have the page number 1. Now, if you're having a hard time figuring this out or getting to this, make sure that you just click this little button under the header and footer tab that says different first page. And that's going to allow you to make sure that this first page, well, it's going to make it blank, but you can just then have the running head, type in your title, and then you click tab over to move the page number to where you want it. Okay. Now, centered towards the middle of the page, you should have the name of the paper. Again, this one's going to be in bold. Excuse me. And then you'll have your author's name. That's going to be you, the student, right underneath it. Followed by the Department of Communication, El Paso Community College, English 1301, Composition 1. Your instructor's name, right? You're going to put Mr. Tinajero or Ricardo Tinajero. Either is fine. And then you're going to have the due date for this assignment, month, day, and then year, in that order. And then the author's note, which is optional. You don't necessarily have to have it. But if you do choose to use it, meaning that you're going to put an author's note here, then you need to have at least a sentence that's going to summarize your paper as a whole. Now, it doesn't have to just summarize. You can go ahead and put your source, or you can put any list of keywords that are going to be important to our understanding of this paper. But if you choose not to have anything underneath author's note, meaning that you're not going to have a summary, keywords, or your source, then just remove all of it. No point in having it if you're not going to be using it, right? So it's optional. And if you do choose to use it, then make sure that you do it correctly, because if you use it and you get anything wrong, those points will count against you. Now, remember to include this cover page, because this is going to be 25 points towards your whole essay, in addition to the reference page at the bottom. So we'll go ahead and put that reference page together right now. Excuse me. So once you have that on a separate page, starting completely its own page, I know we've talked about this several times and it sounds like we're beating a dead horse, but it needs to be said because a lot of people aren't doing it still. When you get to your second page, you need to have not only your continuation of your header. You'll see how it no longer says running head on it anymore. It just says Review Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail, and the page number 2 on the right hand side. But you'll notice that there's also the name of the title again in bold, centered. This is your level 1 header, or heading specifically. For APA format, you need to have level 1 and level 2 headings. And so if you do not have this one here, it's going to count against the paper. And then after that, you have a level 2 heading, which is going to be the name or the heading for the paragraph. So rather than just saying introduction, make sure it's something a little bit more involved, right? It has a little bit more of an expectation on what's going to be within that. So I would put observing the film, and you'll notice that only the first letter is capitalized in your level 2 headings. So only this first letter gets capitalized. Everything else is going to be lowercase unless there's a proper name, right? If I, instead of putting observing the film, if I put observing Monty Python's movie, then I would have to capitalize M and P in Monty Python because it's a proper name for their group. But aside from that, everything else is going to be lowercase. Only the natural sentence capitalization, which means the first sentence, the first letter in that sentence would be capitalized. Okay. And now we have the parts, right? There's the hook, the background, and the thesis. Nothing here has really changed, and they still work in a similar way. The hook needs to bring your reader in to your review, or by asking a question, providing a statistic, or just some sort of detail that's going to immediately perk them up and get them interested in what you're talking about. The background information should be a general reflection of your impression on the film, maybe even compare it to the if you're doing one of the Green Knight stories or films, then maybe compare it to what you're seeing, what you read, and sort of any sort of major differences that stood out, right? So this is just you reflecting on the experience of the movie itself as in a general sense, and if you want to, you can include a little bit of reflection towards how it relates to the book we've been reading. With that being said, you also have the thesis, right? So it's a single sentence that covers your main points, or in this case specifically, the elements of film that you're going to be addressing on it, right? So all in all, I should say this is a good film or this is a bad film because of A, B, and C points, right? Whatever those elements of film that you choose to talk about are. For example, I would put props and special effects, acting, and organization, film organization, right? Those would be the 3 points that I would choose to talk about when I'm talking about Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail. So I would say, while the film can feel chaotic at times, Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail is a success because it includes ridiculous props, entertaining overacting, and the structure follows the Arthurian romance style to a T, right? So that would be my thesis, and then we'll talk about those as we develop our paragraphs a little bit further. So once you have your thesis, then you get into your first body paragraph, and again, you need to have a level 2 header that's bold, left align for that for that header. Then we get into our topic sentence. Of course, this is a sentence that your reader that will tell your reader, or at least inform your reader, of what the paragraph is going to be focusing on, right? And so in this case, I'm going to be talking about props and special effects, right? And so again, Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail uses excellent detailed props for the film. However, when it comes to some of the violence and the special effects, it is outlandish and really more ridiculous than it needs to be. And so that's my topic sentence. And then I'm going to use a quote, or in this case, I'm going to summarize a scene, right? I'm going to say, in this one scene where King Arthur fights the Black Knight, um, their equipment and their costumes are very high quality, with them even going as far as using silk, etc., for the props. But when he fights the Black Knight and he cuts limbs off the Black Knight's body, it is ridiculous, and at times you can even see the string that pulls the body part away, with an obvious tube that is squirting an obscene amount of blood all over the floor, right? So that's me summarizing the scene. And then you need to analyze. You need to explain, how does this scene work towards being good or bad? And then that's when I would talk about how, with the authentic nature of the props they use, it seems counterintuitive to think that the fight scenes and everything are going to be so silly, but that adds to the comedy because they don't want to be taken serious, right? The film doesn't want to portray an epic of King Arthur. They want to show the ridiculousness of knighthood and questing and all of these ideas associated with the romance genre. And so that's my analysis. That would be my explaining of it. Of course, if you wanted to use a quote, you're more than welcome to. Just make sure you follow the conventions of quoting, right? That means you have to have a signal phrase. You have to use word for word quotation of your source, and then you have to cite it properly with in this case, it would have the director's last name. And since it's going to be a film, there's no page number, nothing else. So you would just use your director's last name and close that parenthetical citation. Okay, so once I'm done with my analysis, I'm going to transition to the next scene, right? And so from the fight with the Black Knight to the scene on the Bridge of Doom, things just get more and more ridiculous with intent. And so that's how it would start, right? My topic sentence, I would talk about the scene where they go to the Bridge of Doom and they have to answer questions to cross. And then I would summarize the scene. I would say everything that happens within that scene that's integral to at least what I'm going to be breaking down. And then I would analyze it and say, here's how this scene works for the film, how it adds to comedy and the comedic value, etc. And then once you're done with the analysis, you transition from your topic 2 to your topic 3. And then again, level 2 header, topic sentence, quote, paraphrase, or in this case, scene summary. Right? And so once you have that, all you need to do is simplify that scene that you're going to be focusing on, and then analyze it. Explain, how does this add value, or how does this not work, right? Whether it's a good film or a bad film, how are you going to argue this as, how are you going to present this as being good or bad, right? Okay, so once that is done, then you're pretty much good to go. You just have the verdict of the film, or in this case, the conclusion, right? Once you have your conclusion, you need to restate your thesis. Here are the 3 elements of film that we focused on and how they work towards the film, right? Just summarize those 3 points and how, if that makes it a good or a bad film. And then lastly, you're going to have your proper review, right? You're going to cast judgment on this film. You're going to say, because of these things, this movie is a success or this movie is a failure. And you're going to then score it on your film scoring metric, whatever you choose to do, right? 4 out of 5 stars, 2 thumbs up, or if you're doing a 10-star rating system, 8.5 out of 10 stars, whatever it's going to be, it's up to you. Or like I said before, I had mentioned in the previous lecture, if you wanted to make up your own rating system, right, then you can go ahead and introduce it here as well, but give us a couple sentences explaining how that rating system works, right? For example, if I were to say this film scores a chicken McNugget on the McNugget scale, then that doesn't mean a whole lot. But if I were to explain and say, so on a scale of Walmart chicken nuggets to McDonald's chicken nuggets, this film scores a Dino Nugget, which is the second highest, right? For example, I would say that there's McDonald's generic chicken nuggets, then there's the Tyson chicken nuggets, then there's Dino Nuggets, and then there's going to be um, McDonald's chicken nuggets, which is the best of the best, right? And so I would kind of outline that first to say this dictates poor, this dictates okay, this dictates better than okay, and this dictates the best, right? And once I have that, then I can score this film on that scale to more effect and have more value for your reader. So please make sure that you are including that some element, or if you're using the traditional, 5, 10 star, 2 thumbs up rating system, then you don't have to explain it. It's pretty self-explanatory how it works. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, we'll have another upload um, on Thursday where we're going to talk about. I'm sorry, no, Thursday's Thanksgiving, so we won't have an upload this Thursday, but we will have an upload on Tuesday of next week where we're going to recover book 4 of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, also some of the ideas in the discussion boards, and then we're going to also start covering what's going to be on the final, right? So I will provide a study guide. It's going to have everything you need to be successful for the final, and we're going to cover the information there within it, and I'll also upload a copy so you can have it handy with you. But when it's time for the finals, you are going to have a limited time to complete your final time, so don't spend too much time looking and comparing. Make sure you study the study guide, so that way when you get into the test, you don't have to be looking at it, and you can pass within the time frame. Okay, but we'll talk more about that come Tuesday. All right, thank you guys, have a great day.